My name is Lauren Whitmore. I'm 44 years old. I didn't know my marriage had already started unraveling the night my husband accused me of trying to control him. At the time, I still believed we were solid. Not perfect, never perfect, but stable in the way long marriages are. The kind built on routines and shorthand. The kind where you don't need to ask how the other takes their coffee because your hands already know. 16 years of marriage has a rhythm. You stop noticing it until it skips. I'd been married to Ethan for 16 years. We had 2 kids, Maya, already away at college, and Tyler, 17, still living at home. Teenagers who pretended not to notice things, while noticing everything. For most of our marriage, Ethan and I were a team. We ran the house together. We showed up to games, school events, family dinners. We argued occasionally, sure, but never in ways that felt dangerous. Never in ways that made me question whether we were on the same side. That changed about 3 months before everything finally broke. Ethan started a new job in March, a marketing firm downtown. Better pay, bigger clients. Creative freedom, he called it. Said it like the phrase itself made him lighter. I was genuinely happy for him. He'd been frustrated in his old role for years, coming home tired but restless, like someone stuck in a waiting room with no door marked exit. So when this opportunity came along, I encouraged him, helped him update his wardrobe, celebrated with a bottle of wine on a Tuesday night like we were still in our 30s. What I didn't anticipate was how much space that job would quietly take from us. The late nights started in April. The first time he texted around 10 p.m. Big pitch, running late, don't wait up. He walked in just after midnight. I was on the couch, half watching a show I'd already seen, pretending I wasn't listening for the front door. How'd it go? I asked. Exhausting, he said, loosening his tie. But good, we're close to landing it. He kissed my cheek, quick, distracted, and headed upstairs. I didn't think much of it. It was a new job. He was proving himself. I wasn't going to be that wife, the one who made ambition feel like a betrayal. The second time was 2 weeks later. Same explanation, same tired smile. Home around 11:30 p.m. Still fine. Then it started happening more often. Once a week, then twice. Always with the same explanation, always with the same coworker. Rachel. She lives in the same direction, Ethan said casually one night. She just drops me off, saves time. Rachel. His ex-girlfriend from years ago. The one he'd insisted was ancient history. The one I'd met exactly once, briefly, years before. Polite, professional, forgettable. The first 2 a.m. incident happened on a Friday in early May. I woke up to the sound of a car door closing. Checked my phone. 2:07 a.m. I went to the window. Saw Ethan stepping out of a dark sedan, laughing, his posture loose, relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in months. The car idled while he walked to the door. Then it pulled away. When he came upstairs, I was standing in the hallway. You're awake, he said, startled. It's 2 a.m. I know, I'm sorry. We went out for drinks after finishing the campaign. Lost track of time. With Rachel? She just gave me a ride home. You couldn't text me? He sighed, the kind of sigh that says you're making this harder than it needs to be. My phone died. I'm exhausted. Can we talk about this tomorrow? We didn't talk about it tomorrow, or the day after. He acted like nothing was wrong, and I convinced myself I was overreacting, until it happened again. 3 weeks later, another Friday. This time I wasn't asleep. I'd been lying in bed since midnight, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house breathe without him. The car pulled up at 1:53 a.m. I met him at the door. Working late again? I asked. We had a client dinner, he said. Ran long, downtown. Rachel offered to drive since you were already asleep. I wasn't asleep, I said quietly. I was waiting for my husband to come home. That's when his body shifted. Arms crossed, jaw tight, defensive. That look. The one that tells you the conversation is about to turn. You're trying to control too much, he said. The word hung between us. Control. I stared at him for a long moment. Then I nodded. You're probably right, I said. He blinked, clearly not expecting that. I turned and walked upstairs. I didn't slam doors. I didn't raise my voice. That was the part that seemed to unsettle him the most. I walked into our bedroom and turned on the light. The room looked the same as it had every night for years. Our bed neatly made, his jacket draped over the chair, the faint scent of his cologne still clinging to the air. Familiar, intimate, and suddenly wrong. I opened the closet and reached for his shirts. Not angrily, not dramatically. Methodically. Fold, stack, place into the laundry basket. His shoes followed, lined up like they were waiting for instructions. His toiletries from the bathroom cabinet, his watch from the nightstand, the paperback he'd been halfway through reading. Ethan stood in the doorway, silent. "What are you doing?" he finally asked. "Giving you space," I said evenly. "You clearly need it." "That's not what I meant." "I know exactly what you meant." I carried the first load across the hall and set it down in the guest room. When I came back, he was still there, watching like he was observing a scene he hadn't rehearsed for. "You're being dramatic," he said. "Maybe," I replied, lifting another armful of clothes. "But I'm done pretending everything's normal when my husband comes home at 2 in the morning smelling like someone else." The color drained from his face. Don't, I cut in. "I'm not stupid, Ethan. I've been patient. I've been understanding. But I'm done being both." I kept going. By 4 in the morning, there was nothing of his left in our bedroom. The closet was half empty. The bathroom looked unfamiliar, like someone had already moved out. He slept in our bed that night. I didn't. I moved downstairs and started packing the rest. Boxes from the garage, labels from the junk drawer, his books, his framed photos, the decorative pillows he'd insisted on buying because they made the space feel warmer. Each item felt heavier than it should have. I found things I'd forgotten about. A card I'd written him on our 10th anniversary. A photo from our honeymoon, sunburned and smiling, convinced we'd figured life out early. A recipe book my mother had given us, filled with handwritten notes in the margins. Proof that what we built had been real, which somehow made this feel worse. I fell asleep on the couch just before sunrise. I woke up to a scream. I rushed into the kitchen to find Ethan standing there in his bathrobe, staring at the living room. His coffee mug lay shattered on the floor, dark liquid spreading across the tile. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, voice shaking. "Your things," I said, grabbing paper towels. "You're moving out." "I never said I was moving out." "You didn't have to." I knelt to clean up the coffee. "You already left. You just haven't made it official yet." "You can't just decide that." I stood up and looked at him directly. "Then let's be clear," I said. "Are you having an affair with Rachel?" Silence. "Are you?" I repeated. "It's not..." He rubbed his face. "It's not like that." "So that's a yes." "We haven't done anything physical." I laughed once, short, hollow. "Oh, well, that makes it so much better," I said. "You're just emotionally cheating." "That's not fair." "Then explain the late nights, the dinners, the rides home, the way you defend her more than you've defended us in months." He sat down heavily at the table, head in his hands. "She listens to me," he said quietly. "She makes me feel seen." "And I don't?" "You're always busy," he said, voice rising slightly. "The house, the bills, your projects. When's the last time you asked how I was really doing?" I stared at him. "When's the last time you were home long enough for me to ask?" I said. He didn't answer. I told him he had until the end of the week to figure out where he was going. He could take the boxes or leave them. I didn't care. What I cared about was getting him out of my house before I did something I'd regret. That afternoon, Tyler came home from a friend's place and stopped short when he saw the boxes. "What's going on?" he asked. Ethan and I exchanged a look. "Your dad and I are working through some things," I said carefully. "Don't worry about it." He looked at the boxes again, then at us. "Are you getting divorced?" "We're figuring it out," Ethan said softly. Tyler didn't look convinced. "This is because of Rachel, isn't it?" My head snapped toward him. "What do you know about Rachel?" "Dad talks about her all the time," he said flatly. "Rachel said this. Rachel thinks that. It's been going on for months." Ethan's face turned red. "Tyler." "It's fine," he interrupted. "I'm not a kid." He grabbed his backpack and headed upstairs. Paused at the top of the stairs. "For what it's worth," he added, not looking at his father, "I think Mom's doing the right thing." After he disappeared, Ethan started crying. "You've turned our son against me," he said. "I didn't turn anyone against you," I replied. "You did that yourself." Over the next few days, Ethan moved between the guest room and his sister's place, taking boxes in batches. Each time he left, the house felt lighter, quieter. He asked if we could fix this, if therapy was an option, if I was really willing to throw away 16 years over a misunderstanding. "It's not a misunderstanding," I told him. "You knew exactly what you were doing every time you got in her car, every time you came home smelling like her, every time you chose her over me." "I never chose her over you." "You chose her alongside me," I said, "which is worse." He moved out 3 days later, took half the boxes. I donated the rest. The house felt empty in a way it never had before. But it also felt cleaner, like something rotten had finally been removed from the walls. Ethan tried calling the following week. I didn't answer. He texted instead. "We need to talk about this like adults." I stared at the message for a long time before replying. We needed to talk about this 3 months ago. Now we can talk through lawyers. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. He showed up at the house on a Thursday evening while I was making dinner. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti, jarred sauce, the kind of meal you make when your energy is elsewhere. I heard his key in the lock. I'd forgotten to change it. You can't just shut me out, he said, walking into the kitchen like he still belonged there. Watch me, I replied, not turning around. I made a mistake, he said quickly. Rachel and I. It wasn't real. It was just an escape from everything here. I turned off the stove slowly. Everything here, I repeated. You mean me, our kids, our life. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Ethan? I asked, finally facing him, because I'm struggling to hear anything else. He pulled out a chair and sat down, shoulders slumped. I felt invisible, he said, like I was just a husband and a dad and nothing else. Rachel made me feel like a person again. I laughed quietly, not because it was funny, but because it was painfully familiar. You want to know what's ironic? I said. I felt the exact same way, invisible, like I was just a paycheck and a project manager for everyone else's lives. He looked up, but instead of finding a former girlfriend to confide in, I continued. I stayed. I showed up. I tried. I know, he whispered. No, I said firmly. You don't, because if you did, you wouldn't have done what you did. So that's it? He asked. 16 years and you're just done? You were done months ago, I said. You just didn't have the courage to admit it. He cried quietly at the table. For a moment, a dangerous, familiar moment, I wanted to comfort him. 16 years of habit doesn't disappear overnight. But then I remembered the nights, the waiting, the smell that didn't belong in my house. And I stayed where I was. I never meant to hurt you, he said. But you did, I replied, and you kept doing it. That's the difference between a mistake and a choice. He left without saying goodbye. I filed for divorce the next morning. The process moved faster than I expected. No fault. Clean paperwork, assets split fairly. Ethan didn't fight me on anything, which told me everything I needed to know. Our daughter Maya came home from college in July. She'd heard pieces of the story from Tyler, but wanted the truth from me. Did Dad really cheat on you? She asked over breakfast. Technically, no, I said. Emotionally, yes. What's the difference? Legally? I said. A lot. Personally, not much. She nodded, stirring her coffee. I'm sorry, Mom, she said. I always thought you two would make it. So did I. Are you okay? I thought about it, really thought. I'm getting there, I said. That weekend, we went hiking, something we used to do when she was younger. She talked about classes, her roommate, a guy she'd been seeing. Normal things. It felt good to talk about a future that wasn't defined by what I'd lost. On the drive home, she hesitated. Dad called me last week, she said. He wanted me to talk to you, convince you to give him another chance. And what did you tell him? That I wasn't getting in the middle, she said, then paused. But between us, I think you made the right call. That hurt more than I expected, because it meant the kids had seen more than I'd realized. The divorce was finalized in September. Ethan moved in with Rachel a month later, Tyler told me. I didn't ask for details. I ran into them at the grocery store in October. Complete accident. I was grabbing milk when I turned the corner and saw them. Rachel was reading pasta sauce labels. Ethan stood beside her, one arm wrapped around her shoulders. Protective. Possessive. She saw me first and froze. He followed her gaze. For a moment, no one moved. I nodded once and kept walking. Lauren, she called after me. Can we talk? I didn't turn around. It's been 5 months since Ethan moved out. Time hasn't fixed everything, but it has clarified it. Tyler splits his time now. Weekends with his father downtown. Weekdays with me. He says it's quieter here, says Rachel tries too hard to be his friend, says it feels like she's auditioning for a role no one asked her to play. I don't comment. Maya came home for Thanksgiving. Just the three of us. We ordered pizza, watched bad movies, laughed at things that weren't that funny. It was simple, easy. The kind of night that reminds you life doesn't end just because something does. I've started dating again. Nothing serious. Dinners, conversations. Coffee that turns into long walks. I met someone through a friend, Mark. He listens. He doesn't make me feel invisible. We talk about work, hobbies, terrible movies we secretly love. It's refreshing to be with someone who actually wants to be present. Ethan texts occasionally, usually about the kids, sometimes about paperwork. Once about a jacket he suddenly remembered leaving behind. I keep my replies polite, short, distant. Last week, Tyler mentioned that Ethan and Rachel have been fighting. Something about commitment. Rachel wants to move forward. Marriage. Ethan isn't sure. The irony isn't lost on either of us. Do you think he regrets it? Tyler asked. Probably, I said, but that's not my problem anymore. He nodded and went back to his homework. I've learned something through all of this. You can't save someone who's already decided to leave. You can't convince someone of your worth when they're busy looking elsewhere. And you can't build a life with someone who mistakes basic respect for control. The house is quieter now, but it's mine. 2 weeks after Ethan moved out, I changed the locks. It was a small thing, practical, necessary. Still, it felt symbolic. This space, this life, my fresh start.